Hello, everyone. Welcome to our conversation around improving service margins by reducing truck rolls and leveraging smart technologies. I call it a conversation. Really, it's a one-sided conversation, at least for now. We're going to welcome your questions at the end, so as you have them, please start populating that Q&A. We really do want this to be a conversation. Of course, not till I get all my talk track in. So today I'd like to begin this session by reminiscing about a nightmare from just over 50 years ago. Not normally how I would kick off a speaking engagement, but indulge me, if you will. In 1970, the world witnessed real-time remote service when issues occurred taking out 2 of the 3 large oxygen tanks on Apollo 13. Some of you may recall the Tom Hanks movie. By the way, it's not Houston, we have a problem. In researching this, it's actually Houston, we've had a problem. That was interesting to me. However, NASA's team of controllers, who, by the way, their average age was just 27, that's another fact that blew my mind, they were now working in tight coordination to get their crew home. And they were backed by dozens of other experts and engineers in back rooms, interacting with experts from various contractors all over the country as well. And just as NASA successfully leveraged their people, their process, their technologies to guide those astronauts safely back to Earth, today I'm going to speak with you about how organizations and agencies like yours can combine their own people and processes with even smarter technologies to improve margins, to reduce equipment downtime, to extend the lifespan of assets and equipment, to reduce overall service costs and improve morale. And if you think about the technology that they were using, at least in that space module, it had less firepower than what we have on today's smartphones, right? So think of what we should be able to accomplish today. So if you think about that engagement, that really was remote assistance, right? Remote guided assistance. They had their experts in their back office working to engage these resources. So my name's Rob Schaefer. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak with you today. However, we've also invited our friend and partner, Lance Anderson. And Lance, I'm going to have you speak in a moment or two. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. No one's ever going to confuse me with a rocket scientist. For starters, I'm not 27. No, I am not. Rather than engineering, I have a degree in journalism. However, I focused much of my career on support operations, particularly field service and quality management. Similarly, I've never been a call center agent, a dispatcher, or a field service technician. However, I have learned from interacting with and learning from the best practices of over 500 different service organizations globally. Again, my name's Rob Schaefer. Really happy to be speaking with you today. We've invited our friend and partner, Lance Anderson from CareAR, which is now part of Xerox, to talk about how they've seen organizations achieve demonstrable benefits and value from incorporating augmented reality into their service operations. We're glad to have you with us today, Lance. Would you please give us a few words about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate the introduction. So I'm Lance Anderson, Vice President of Industry Solutions for CareAR, leading our service experience management platform, which is obviously fully integrated with ServiceNow, and I look forward to talking a little bit about that today. My past, I've spent almost 10 years in the augmented reality enterprise space, which makes me an OG in this space. And I've seen a lot of things work, a lot of things not work. And I'm thrilled to be with CareAR because the partnership with ServiceNow really does drive not just pilots, but really true deployments of augmented reality remote support that is really changing business outcomes. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of those with you all today.
Thank you very much, Lance. All right. So I guess I wanted to just spend a little bit of time highlighting what we're going to be focusing on today. We want to talk about the different silos, the different barriers that exist. We're going to drill down into those barriers and try to understand how we got those barriers and how we get beyond those barriers. And then we want to talk about AI-powered, so artificial intelligence, machine learning-powered self-service capabilities, how we can share that with customers, how we can improve a service organization's KPIs by integrating their field operations, and then transforming field service with augmented reality to support many different use cases, whether it's direct customer facing, peer-to-peer facing, et cetera. And of course, we'll have time at the end for the Q&A. So when we think about low first trip fix rates, meaning technician goes on site to fix a customer issue, and either they think they fixed it correctly or they were unable to fix it correctly, they go back and we may have to dispatch another technician or the same technician, right? That is, multiple trip fix rates, right? We want to get that work done on that first dispatch, right? It's costly every time we dispatch a technician. So let's consider the barriers and baggage that cause additional dispatches. Where are we sloppy as an organization in our processes and our automation? Where are the pains or inefficiencies that drive up that first visit fix rate? Are there communication issues that lead to additional dispatches? Of course, just the nature of having many organizations drives that disconnect between the call center and the field service organization and even the systems they use. So sometimes triage can be done ineffectively or not at all. Sometimes a work order is poorly qualified. So we dispatch a resource without the proper skills, the proper parts, the proper tools. I would never do that, but I'm talking about you guys, right? Sorry. Sometimes, because we're not communicating arrival times, we're not communicating those arrival times with the customer, when the technician actually gets on site, the customer is not actually there. So the person that we meet with might not even be aware that I'm supposed to be fixing something. So instead, I might need to turn around, go to my next job. That's going to require another dispatch as well. So how do we improve that communication level as well? All right. So if you were mission control, nice tie back to my opening, right? If you were mission control and your customer tells you they have a problem, who are your experts? Who are the people in your neighborhood? Who are you going to call? And it's not just internal. What's your ecosystem? So here are a few you might turn to based on the need. Your agents, your dispatchers and technicians and contractors. But you may have to turn to quality management or product specialists or knowledge. You may have to turn to an OEM. Here's who manufactured this component, this part, etc. Or if we're having problems with some of the software, right? Maybe we engage some of our IT teams as well to help address these issues. So these might actually look like the teams or departments in your organization, and together they make up much of your business. And if these were systems, and some of them are, they might be considered important parts of your organization's platforms. Because for many organizations, when we talk about the interplay between employees and IT and customer workflows to support those very processes, it's clear the status quo isn't doing anyone any favors. So in a perfect world, we have a request that comes in, and the person that responds to that request has the tools and they can resolve it themselves. But sometimes they'll need to toss that request over their cubicle, and it goes into this black hole. And what happens if the customer calls back? How do you know what the status is? How do you know what's being worked on, if it's even being worked on, right? So let's consider how the rest of the organization engages and responds to these requests. So we toss the request over into this black hole, and you may have processes in place. There are lots of those different departments that may get involved. And where you see a mess, I see another nightmare, because Each of those arrows represents not just a time delay, but finger pointing between people, between departments, agencies, and systems. So let's say my friend Lance over here gets this request, and it might take him 3 minutes to review it and approve it. Great, 3 minutes. Well, no, not so fast. He's got a stack that's 3 weeks deep. So what should he be working on? Should he be working on the thing he just got? Should he be reducing that backlog? It's not a 3-minute issue. It's a 3-week and 3-minute issue. And let's say everything goes well and goes from him to the next person, which might take a couple hours or a couple days, etc. But even once that problem gets resolved, it took time. And that finger pointing did nothing to improve that experience. Instead, it actually drove down morale. As a result, many of these issues are taking days or weeks or longer to resolve, regardless of how easily the customer is engaged, how easily they were able to initiate. So we've automated the front end of this process, but not this, what we call the messy middle, and not the back office. So instead, what if we focused on taming the ecosystem? How do we remove those roadblocks to getting work done quickly? If we can say, hey, I know it only takes Lance 3 minutes, but he's got this backlog, right? We might have scenarios where maybe Lance doesn't even need to touch this issue unless, right? So you can build out those processes effectively to say, in this situation, we can reduce or we can remove Lance from this issue. Not only does this not add more work, it reduces that 3 weeks. It also gives Lance more time back so he can start reducing his backlog. So now we don't have to wait for them to complete the task. So if that's the case, let's do that. If we can orchestrate the process, let's do that. ServiceNow can help you digitize and modernize the experience from the front to the back office, cleaning up that messy middle. And we do this with one platform, with one architecture, one data model. Those are big words for a guy with a degree in journalism, but it's really powerful because now you don't have to integrate with all these different systems. What ServiceNow is doing is bringing those people, those systems, and that data into one system of action. And by breaking these issues into discrete tasks and assigning those tasks to those front, middle, and back office teams, and by connecting those systems where people do the work so that the data is always visible in ServiceNow. So if the customer calls back, we can see that, oh, Lance was able to get that approved, so now it's just gone on to this next step. We should have this resolved within X amount of time. So we're enabling that single process flow across people and functions. So by doing that, we're also supercharging existing investments in your other solutions, your technologies. As a result of our workflow capabilities, issues that would take days or weeks to resolve now only take hours or even minutes. So one example is a company in the telco space, and they had a similar issue where they had multiple processes, multiple people, multiple systems involved just from the point where a customer requested equipment, requested service. So that service is not just the service, it's the equipment, it's the install. There are a whole lot of things that need to happen. And accordingly, the different work needed to go to different teams, and they had different levels of approvals. We were able to streamline that approval to go from 4.5 weeks down to less than 4 days. That means 4 days to get everything approved, get equipment shipped, get the technician on site to install. And what does that mean? Well, if it was 4.5 weeks down to a few days, we've shaved off four weeks of time, got the customer up and running in 4 weeks faster, and the company was able to start billing 4 weeks faster. That's pretty powerful. All right. So when we think about improving service margins, how do we deflect dispatches, right? That's one thing. We want to eliminate those truck rolls. So give the customer self-service tools, those tools that allow them to troubleshoot far enough to determine, do we really need someone on site? Can I resolve this myself? Oh, I see what the problem is. Let me try fixing this. That worked all as well. Now we've eliminated the need for a truck roll. Right? Or what if we could notify our technician? Hey, technician, for this scenario, you should call the customer first. We think by having more in-depth conversation, you can resolve the issue. Think of a customer, if you've ever gone to your auto shop and said, hey, I've got this loud pinging sound. And by the way, that pinging sound never occurs when you get in front of that auto technician. However, if you could call that customer up and say, hey, you're talking about this pinging sound. Can I hear it? Walk over to your HVAC equipment. Let me hear that pinging sound, or your car. Oh, okay. Well, in the bottom left-hand corner, there's this box. If you open it up, the filter's in there. I think you've got that filter in backwards. Can you flip that around? Close it up. Did the pinging stop? Excellent. Now the technician was involved, but the technician never needed to go out on site. There's no travel time, right? There was no truck roll needed. The issue was solved that much faster. Or another scenario, what if the technician talks to the customer? They say, let me hear that sound. Okay, now that I hear that sound, it's not really a ping, it's more of a bang, or whatever technical term they have. I know exactly what part I need to bring in. So where that's important, think of you're a technician, you're going onto a shop floor, or to university, or to a hospital. You have to check in, you have to walk or be brought all the way to the equipment. That might take 10, 15 minutes just to get to the equipment. Then you diagnose the issue, you walk back out to your truck to get the part you need, and then walk back in. Now that takes maybe another 20 minutes. So here, if I've diagnosed this remotely, I know exactly what part to bring in, right? I have hundreds of parts in my truck. So we've streamlined the speed to actually get to diagnosis and time to task completion, right? We can make sure that we reduce truck rolls because we're giving our technicians the tools they need, not just the actions that they need to do in their mobile device, but the data. So if I have visibility into a piece of equipment, its history, its upcoming preventive maintenance schedule, its the list of the documentation on its subcomponents, any relevant knowledge articles. Now I'm able to resolve that issue that much faster and make sure that I get work done right the first time, that we don't have to dispatch someone later in the day or tomorrow. And then that speed time to completion, and that's doing that pre-call triage where the technician calls that customer to determine those parts, minimize the time on site. All right. So I just displayed a poll right now, and I'd love for you guys to give us your answers in this area. Where are you looking to invest in technologies to help your service operations? There's augmented reality, virtual reality, wearables, remote assistance apps. There's knowledge management, training, and development. And by the way, you can select more than one if that makes sense to you. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual assistants. There's remote connectivity. There's diagnostics and repair. And then there's overall Internet of Things, so that intelligent automation, so that you can detect and alert to anomalies and take action on those anomalies. So I see that people are starting to respond. We're going to give this a minute, try to figure out where you see the most value, where your target investment areas are. So we've got about 40% submitted. I'd love it if more of you could respond and let us know. So we've seen, personally, I've seen a lot of feedback in the, well, all of these to some extent, but the augmented reality is really focused. People want to not only learn more, they're trying to figure out, do we crawl with it? Do we walk with it? Do we run with it? To what extent do we embrace it, and how do we embrace it? So we are just over 50. We're almost at 60%. So I'm just going to move forward and we'll show the results. By the way, if anyone has any comments or thoughts or questions that they want to put in the Q&A around these polls, feel free to do that as well. So here we've seen the AI, the knowledge management, right? Knowledge management really is the one that's been out here the longest, so I'm really not surprised to see that. We're seeing some good numbers around the AR, virtual reality, the remote connectivity as well, and Internet of Things is coming up as well. So it's very interesting. Thank you for your feedback on that. All right, so in reducing truck rolls and driving and leveraging smart technology, how do we provide that frictionless customer experience and employee experience? Well, we want to break down those silos. We want to, between the systems as well as the silos between the call center and field service operations and their customers. And one of the ways that we can do that is we can provide customers with real-time notification. Hey, Joe has been assigned. He's on his way. He's 27 miles away and 38 minutes away. And by the way, here's a little link. You click on the link and it will launch that interactive Uber-like map. I know the company doesn't like it when I call it Uber-like. That's like, using the, turning it into like Kleenex type brand that is ubiquitous. But I think everyone knows what that Uber-like experience is when you follow along on the map. That's really important because now we're communicating with the customer, we're informing the customer, and the customer could respond and say, hey, I'm no longer going to be here at that time. Or that customer could go to someone in their department and say, hey, Mike, I'm not going to be here, but I've got a technician coming and I'm going to have them, I'm going to direct them to you so that you can bring them over here and help, so that they don't have to go on to their next job, that they can help address this issue in real time. So we also then take all that great data that we've captured about the call intake, about the equipment, about the type of service, about the travel time and the work duration and the start and stops and all that fun stuff, so that we can analyze and we can improve these experiences. We can do continual improvement management on our processes, on our engagements with our customers. We can also allow customers, as I mentioned earlier, the ability to self-serve, right? Access to that relevant knowledge base or information about data that's going to help resolve issue. We had bad storms here last night. We had tornadoes go through. And so there's a lot of down power lines, right? If I can see on my mobile device that, oh, we know, the system's down, or, we know power's down, or we know that cable's out or whatever, right? And here's our ETA. Now I'm less likely to call into their call center because I know they're aware of that problem. So I'm going to drive down that organization's call volume, which is a good thing as well. So not only do we want to keep them informed, but we want to give them tools, and that includes chatbots or virtual agents to resolve or walk them through, guide them through common resolutions or really complex ones that they might normally abandon. So Tunstall is a customer of ours in the Nordics, right? They specialize in digital health and care service. They've got over 2.5 million users across 51 countries. and they ensure the safety, the quality of life of people receiving care. They're individuals that they support, and the care agencies need to be able to access support services 24/7 if they have any issue or query about a product or a service. And Tunstall wanted to simplify access to support with a single point of contact for its customer service operations. It also wanted to unlock real-time visibility across teams and implement a standard IT process framework to maximize efficiency. So they implemented our customer service and field service operations so that they can provide remote support to customers. Field technicians are allocated work orders associated to those requests in ServiceNow and visit customers to carry out repairs, while progress on the initiating case is automatically updated in the system. And we can see Mikhail has commented, we've evolved from a product-based company to a solution provider, moving from reactive to proactive and eventually preventative care. One of the other areas, and this was important for Tunstall and a number of our other customers as well, is that conversational support, those AI-powered chatbots that are both interactive, right, real-time interactive, guiding, whether it's guiding agents, guiding customers, guiding technicians, or even contractors through resolving issues, right, using basic, simple, natural language. And then we also want to help agents solve these issues faster with contextual guidance, right? Meaning our call center agents have the details that they need, this customizable workspace that serves up the relevant knowledge articles, provides history, integrates that data to give that more holistic view of that customer, not just that particular issue, to intelligently guide those agents through the process. And then, where appropriate, the agents might actually be able to take that data and propose new knowledge articles as well. Again, that continual improvement management. And when we get to field service, then how do we have the system, how do we automate the assignment of work, leveraging rules to determine, well, who has the right parts, the skills, the availability to meet the SLA and all the other commitments? Who's the preferred technician for this account or equipment, et cetera. So, and then that's the automation side, so that our dispatcher can manage any of those exceptions, the emergencies that come in, the cancellations, any types of exceptions that we need to adjust and schedule in real time. And then be able to visualize the maps, the routes, and even optimize routes for work schedules where appropriate. We also support the ability to define, create, and assign work to both fixed or ad hoc crews, and the ability to assign work to contractors based on some type of contractual obligations. All right, our next poll. This is pretty simple. Who do you work with? Are you scheduling work to field resources, to contractors, or to a mix of in-house and contractor organizations, or external contractor companies, resources? This will be very interesting to see. So I've been working with a number of customers. There's a company in, a telco company in Malaysia that has 400 technicians, and a few months after that, they went live with another 700 contractors. So those contractors are leveraging our contractor tools to be able to access their work, access the knowledge base, document questionnaires, perform safety checks, document compliance with the processes. So those contractors aren't just doing work that they're assigned, they're doing work the way that we are asking them to do. We're mandating, this is the way you need to document this process. So I'm going to move on. Let's see how we've all responded to this. So right now we don't have anyone that's leveraging contractors. Oh, well, actually, that's not true because most of them have hybrid. Sorry. I guess I should read my data before speaking. So good, thank you. All right. So we also we talked about empowering the customer, right? Better communicating with the customer, giving them the right tools. Empowering the agent by giving them access to the data and the tools, not just to complete their work, but to improve their operations, right? Improve the knowledge base and improve reporting. Now, how do we empower the field technicians and contractors to make sure they're completing work on that first visit, right? We want to make sure that they have access to their schedule, their job details, the customer information, the asset information, their inventory, all the knowledge articles, the safety questionnaires and checklists and inspection guides to walk through, complete those processes, document everything effectively. So leveraging those checklists specific to that type of job so that they're conforming to either our internal processes or in some cases, regulatory processes. And then making sure that we are driving or directing them to the next best actions and dynamic recommendations. We also want to manage assets better, right? How do we manage the install base? We want to be able to manage all the processes, whether it's at the early stage of that asset's life cycle, so the install process, or the active servicing, which is repair, preventive maintenance, break fix, product recalls, upgrades, etc. Or at its end of life, when maybe we recover those assets and we have to do certain things. Maybe it has hazardous materials. We need to document how we're treating those and disposing of those materials. Managing those maintenance plans, those preventive maintenance schedules based on times and cycles and usage. So like your car, every 3 months or 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. To identify those opportunities to gain revenue as well. So is there an upsell opportunity for this engagement, maybe to replace this asset is at end of life, or your contract is about to expire in the next 90 days, right? And then I'm going to ask Lance to talk about how we're leveraging augmented reality to increase those remote solves and go back to reducing those truck rolls. Lance.
Sure. Thanks, Rob. So this is where CareAR comes into play. So at CareAR, we provide what we call the Service Experience Management Platform. This is a containerized application that lives inside of ServiceNow, FSM, CSM, ITSM. And it's really an AR, augmented reality, and AI powered visual support system to empower ServiceNow desk agents and the field techs out in the field. And really, this is where the human being comes into play. I'm not going to say that automation failed us, but automation gets us to a certain point, and now we need humans to collaborate. And visual collaboration, empowered with augmented reality, is far better than just verbal communication. It's not flat, it's visual. That's how humans take in information and share. And this collaboration expedites resolution times. It provides a much better depth of information to drive success and deflect costly dispatches. And it really does empower technicians or desk agents who may be at an L1. And with this type of visual collaboration and some of the self-solve instruct use cases, we can take an L1 that doesn't have the experience and really empower them with knowledge that otherwise would have to be escalated to an L2 or L3 agent. And our goal is to deflect and to deter or defer and really shift work to the left. And how we do that, so a couple of products or parts of the platform. So CareAR Assist, which quite frankly, it exists in the ServiceNow App Store and can literally be enabled within 2 hours. And that's remote collaboration. You can have any number of experts anywhere in the world collaborating point of view through the person on site, whether it's a customer or the field service tech, through their phone, tablet, a pair of smart glasses, what have you, all looking through the camera through that same POV on live video and annotating, drawing, adding text boxes, bringing in knowledge pieces from ServiceNow to help collaborate and solve the problem. Just like going back to Apollo, it took many engineers, many different disciplines from all over Houston and different places to solve this problem, and it's exactly the technology that we bring. What's key to this is this lives within the ServiceNow ticket. You never really exit the ServiceNow system. And that integration allows us not just to enable these experiences and bring in all those knowledge pieces, but to record this into the ticket, meta tag it so that all the insights and all of this are not lost when the humans start to collaborate. This is all auditable. It has visibility to everyone going forward, and it really, really helps with future optimization and areas to improve. And let me move forward here. And it's beyond just augmented reality. So the CareAR Instruct application is really a self-serve module, and it serves the customer, if you can imagine. You have an issue, I'd much rather try to solve it myself. And it's not a flat knowledge piece. This is an augmented reality live, visually enabled experience. You can hold up your phone or tablet and walk around your computer, your HVAC system outside, or what have you. Your router, that's a great example that one of our clients is deploying, where our system, the computer vision that is enabled with our system, can see, did you actually plug in that Cat45 cable into the right location, right? Did you set up your modem correctly? And if you haven't, our system's going to give you a red X or a green check and let you know whether you've done it incorrectly, right? That validated work, step by step, in a self-guided, very intuitive experience can really deflect a lot of calls, let alone truck rolls. So that's the consumer. If the field tech is in the field and you have a field tech, they've been on your payroll for maybe a couple of months, maybe a year if you're lucky. They don't have all that experience, but these types of experiences can guide that worker through simple maintenance steps or mundane tasks that have little twists and changes because of a model number that otherwise will cause problems. And then when you need to call in your expert, it's a simple button, and the expert comes in, you can collaborate and drive these experiences. So it's a very powerful application that lives inside of ServiceNow, and we're driving results for a lot of our clients. Very recently, actually yesterday, we put out a PR with a joint client, Sixterra, in the IT server farm space, and they're deploying this to, you can imagine, server farms are massive, right? Football fields and football fields of servers. And not only can they use our technology to take the tech on site and enable them to solve very important issues much faster with that video collaboration, but the clients can actually watch it and see and audit and have that audit trail, that visual audit trail tagged into their service tags and audit and make sure that things are done the way that they want them done as third-party systems. So again, it's a very powerful system, and we're driving great value for a lot of our clients. And so the last part of this is content. And the content is key. Obviously, the knowledge, we saw that in the poll earlier, right? Where many folks are looking for knowledge management. And ServiceNow delivers that knowledge management, and all of this knowledge is living within that system. What CareAR enables you to do is take some of those flat knowledge pieces, whether it was just text or maybe it was just a video, and turn them into these AR-enabled interactive experiences with state detection, work validation, self-advancing through that process. And not only for the person on site, but you can actually provide these experiences for your L1 or L2 techs on the call with digital twins that they can look at right within their service module, right within their dashboard, and be able to experience something and maybe see something that they can help them to educate their end user and fix things faster. So I'd love to take some questions at the end here. Hopefully we have some and we can dig a little bit deeper into the subject. But Rob, I'll kick it back to you and send us right back into the ServiceNow module, just like the application.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lance. So, of course, what we've done is with CareAR, right, we've empowered those employees to use augmented reality to deflect those dispatches, right? So here we can see the different types of interaction at different points. The intake, here's where CareAR can come in, right? CareAR can come in working with the agent, with the technician or our contractors, right? How do we allow our contractors to interact, whether it's peer-to-peer or directly with the customer? So again, same message. How do we leverage that and support that, make that process streamlined so we get from hours and days down to, minutes? So that brings in, let's talk about the areas we talked. What are the top 2 priorities? So please only select 2. Are you more interested in improving that customer experience, in decreasing your overall service costs, increasing revenues, or improving the user experience? Now, I know you're all saying, yes, please, let me select 4. Please only select 2. Those all sound like great wins for your organization, but what's the most relevant to your resources? So please, if you can fill that out, answer a couple questions for us. In the interim, looks like there are 2 questions in the Q&A. So if there are any others that come in, please feel free. I appreciate your responses on these. All right, I am gonna move forward on this. We can see that, all of them, the one that's the lowest right now is increasing revenue, and that's not bad. I wasn't expecting to see that a lot higher. I believe this means that there's a lot of basic blocking and tackling that needs to be done before you can even consider, well, now what can we do to increase revenues? What's that crawl, walk, run? And that run is increasing those revenues with the upsells and finding new service offerings, etc. All right. So here we see that the business drivers are related, right? We want to improve the customer experience and decrease costs and increase revenues and improve the employee experience. And you can see that experience, the user, the customer, the employee, the technician, the contractor, those are the bookends. When you do those effectively, by default, you're going to be able to decrease some of those costs, and then you're going to allow yourselves, your organization, to start focusing on how and where can we increase those revenues. So we want to be able to support that customer experience, right? Recognizing the data needs, the process needs, et cetera. So delivering services that work in that digital first world to increase customer loyalty, lifetime value, to improve asset lifetime, to improve the customer experience, the employee, the technician, the dispatcher, the agent experience, all of that. And I guess I wanted to point out, I've highlighted in green the field service management, but this is just part of that platform. By the way, what we're seeing here really is the customer industry workflows, right? We also have our employee workflows and our IT workflows, which all come into play here as well, right? How do you successfully onboard your new resources? How do you make sure they've got access to the right equipment, the right systems, the right security, et cetera? Those are your employee and IT workflows. But then in customer service, customer workflows, right? How do we support the customer service operations and the field service operations? And what is the relevance and value in specific industries? So when I talk with customers and prospects, we talk about business issues, and I work to help their teams to better communicate, to better collaborate. And that's really what, I guess, if I were to put words in their mouths, and I'm not above that, right? These are the themes that come out of my conversations. Hey, Rob, how can ServiceNow help me to better communicate amongst all parties in my ecosystem, even out to the customer? How can we better collaborate? How and where do we automate? And then how can you direct my resources to take that next best appropriate action based on all of that data? So it's been over 50 years since Apollo 13. So look how far we've come, right? Look at our smart devices from a technology perspective. Now it seems like innovations are happening overnight. And with ServiceNow, you can deliver service at the speed of light. Because just as the data you capture and work from has become more meaningful, and just as some of your processes have evolved, so too has that technology advanced. So combining people, processes, and technologies is driving new levels of innovation, faster time to identify and resolve issues, giving your field workers the information they need to get that work done quickly and correctly the first time. So we'd love to, or actually, I'd love to talk with you more about how can we can remove those ancillary, antiquated, redundant systems to drive new levels of efficiency for your organization. I'm Rob Schaefer. I'm here to help. I have a whole team of experts that I turn to as well. So I've got my ecosystem. I submit you all have your ecosystems as well. And my experts can give you the technology and the more modern processes to promote and advance your service operations, to help you deliver service the way your customers are expecting from you. So I do want to thank you for your time, for sticking around. I also, we're going to go into the Q&A. We're going to be hosting that, so feel free to send in any questions yet. Type in your question into the Q&A text box, hit submit button to put your question in the queue, and we'll take as many questions as we have time for. And if you look in the lower right corner of your screen, you'll also find a resource panel where you can access all the relevant materials for this webinar. So please make sure to download the resources available to you. Your feedback's really important to us, not just in those polls, but just as far as going forward with other types of webinars as well. So please fill out the audience feedback survey by clicking on the pen and paper icon. So again, your feedback's very important. We're going to go into the Q&A, but I also wanted to point out we have made available all of our on-demand webinars, so you'll see this one up there in the future as well. And you can click on this link or type in this URL, and you can have access to the history of all of our on-demand webinars. I've done some really engaging ones in the past, believe it or not. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I would like to move over to the Q&A section now. And I can see that we have a few new ones. So there were, oh good, people have added some. So the first one we have, do agents and technicians access the same knowledge repository? And if so, how does the system repurpose the information based on the device they're using? Okay, two questions there. So the knowledge base is an integral part of the ServiceNow platform. To me, knowledge is ubiquitous. It should be available to everyone. Now, there are different degrees. Maybe this is, I've got knowledge that's more relevant to our technicians, so we don't want to put maybe that level of technical detail in. But your agents and your technicians, yes, can access that same knowledge repository. You might have some of those items that are selected that could be made available to customers as well. The second part of the question is, how does the system repurpose the information based on the device they're using? If I'm on my desktop, I've got more real estate than if I have my mobile device. So we streamline, we leverage the form factor presented in the appropriate manner so that you can take action. You can more than just view it, but you can take action, respond, uplift it, add comments to it. Boy, this would be more useful if you said X in here, or just rank and rate it. The next question, let's see, we've been thinking about using augmented reality, but haven't gotten started yet. What are your recommendations for where to start? So Lance, I'd like you to answer that since you're my AR expert.
You're
one of my experts.
All over this one.
Yeah.
And one of your ecosystem. I'm part of your ecosystem
right.
here. So, yeah, no, absolutely. So, what I say about to answer that, where do we get started? Start where it's easiest, quite frankly. Don't try to boil the ocean. The CareAR platform starts with our product called Assist, which is our remote collaboration, which has all of the augmented reality visualization tools built in. Literally drag and drop. Use a laser pointer to circle something, drop in a little text box, an arrow, what have you, on a live video as you do collaboration. That's augmented reality in action. And honestly, this can be set up within hours within the, if you have an existing FSM or CSSM system. In terms of moving forward with that, what these instruct experiences I discussed, those interactive, augmented reality, self-serve, either for the consumer or the field tech, right? Just take your 80% most common use case for the router example I showed, right? Let's just have an instruct use case visualization, walk someone through setting that up correctly, putting the cables in the correct locations. Maybe you also, if it's a field tech, maybe we do an instruct piece that shows how to do a factory reset on that device, right? If that's something that has to be done before you get into the more deep collaborative type troubleshooting, let's have that person do a self-serve and walk through that. And these self-serve experiences can be brought up and delivered through a chatbot, through the ServiceNow chatbot, when someone types in their model numbers, right? So again, we're all about deflecting, using that low-hanging fruit to deflect that first call, help someone self-serve, and then empower them to serve things faster. So my answer is start where it's easiest, and then build your way in as you drive value through using augmented reality. Don't look at AR as a technology that is looking for a solution. Solve your problem, and if AR is the right tool, use it. And CareAR makes it very simple for you to do.
I should have turned to you more during this this session, so thank you for that. By the way, if you think of the integration between these solutions, right? Whether it's direct or just supported, think of we've got our knowledge base, and we've got our reporting, our analytics. If we point our analytics, or when we point our analytics to our knowledge base, we could determine, wow, here's some things that might be relevant to turn into new instruct sessions, right? They're going to drive down more of these, deflections, these unnecessary dispatches. So, or they're going to aid the technician as well.
Absolutely. Right. And I'd say this, a key differentiator for our clients and our potential clients out there, our joint clients, is this tight integration between the CareAR ServiceNow platform and that lives right inside of ServiceNow and FSM and CSM. It's a real differentiator in the market. It allows you to have that collaboration right inside your ticket, moving in and out of that, to save all of those insights and all of the AI that can then be added back into the ServiceNow engine as you try to perfect and optimize. If you're lucky enough or smart enough to have both CSM and FSM, these trip reports just migrate seamlessly right into scheduling, whether it's technician and parts, trip reports that field techs can look at before they come out on site. All of that stuff helps to increase, first-time self-solve. But it's that integration that really, is rare out there in the market. And what you want to avoid is getting, disparate augmented reality and mobile technologies, and all of a sudden you get this technical sprawl that your IT department chokes on, that your technicians have to go in and out of systems to use. It makes it very cumbersome, and quite frankly, they'll do anything they can to avoid doing that. So the fact that we're so tightly integrated really does drive value, and it becomes an innate tool that quite frankly, your field techs will come to depend on, and your revenues will come to depend on as well.
I love that point, because one of the messages that I push out a lot is at ServiceNow for field service. One of the mantras is, how do we reduce the administrative burden on the technician? I've for 30 years, I've done technician ride-alongs, and we'd pull over after a while, we'd get something to drink, and they'd be filling out either paperwork or they're on their laptop doing all. They're like, I could get 3 more jobs done in a day or over the course of a week if I didn't have to do all this extra work, if I could do it at the time. Sometimes it's like I could enter it quickly, but I have to recall what I did this morning, right? So how do we reduce that administrative burden? So we have time for one last question.
Oh, sorry. Go
ahead. So we have time for one last question, and it's a pretty quick and simple one. Do customers that are accessing the self-service portal have to have their own license? No, not at all. Think of, I talked a lot about telco customers or companies. They've got thousands or millions of customers and subscribers. No, they don't need a license at all. That's by deploying ServiceNow, right? That company has deployed ServiceNow. They get to push out that portal, that customer portal, that any customer can log into, and you can have both a guest view. Here's the set of data if you're not going to log in, but if you're going to log in, we know who you are. We map to your telco account, etc. We'll give you all the details about your account, all the relevant knowledge articles, and we're not going to serve up something about a service that you haven't subscribed to, etc. With that, I want to thank you all for joining us, for your time today, for your patience with us. I'd love to get any more feedback, so if you have anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Rob Schaefer at ServiceNow. And I want to thank my very special guest and friend, Lance. Lance Anderson, thank you so much for your time today and all of your insight.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.